Hey boys, welcome back to the channel. And this video, we're going to be doing a weekly breakdown again. And we're going to cover every lesson I learned last week, what went wrong, what went right, and things that you can obviously use to implement in your own trading to improve it. So, starting on Monday, we unfortunately had a losing trade. It was simply just a wrong read on the market. Um, and the past couple of weeks have been very, very successful. They've all been, I think I had 3 weeks in a row profitable. Obviously, a couple of mistakes were made there when we could have really got some more profit than we did. But my bias and stuff has been pretty strong recently, and my decision making has been very good. But on Monday, unfortunately, we did take an L, and that was simply just due to misreading the market. I think I took a trade when the higher time frames were not as clear as they could have been, and I was really trading off lower time frame confirmations. And unfortunately, although the trade did look amazing, it was a loser, and that happens. You can take your best setup, and it still ends up losing. So don't let that dishearten you. Obviously, you're gonna have a certain percent of trades that win and lose. It's about having winning more than you lose, whether you win more in terms of RR or you win more in terms of having a higher win rate. As long as you win more than you lose, even if you take your best setup, sometimes you'll lose them. But over time, you're going to end up making profits on those. So Monday was a loser. Uh, Fast forward to Wednesday. Wednesday was a sucky day, guys. It sucked because essentially I got on the charts around 7 a.m. And sometimes I look at the charts and immediately there's something going off that I want to get involved in, right? And so there was a trade that I wanted to get involved in on Euro USD. And I had to just make sure that this was something I wanted to take, right? I didn't want to rush my decision. I didn't want to just get on the charts immediately and then immediately take a trade, right? Because to me, I wanted to have a minute to like kind of warm up, get into the flow of like being on the charts and analyzing what's going on. And so I hesitated to take the trade as soon as I saw it, right? I wanted to gather more information. And so I was looking at, I was looking at the DXY, I was looking at um, GBP USD, and I was trying to just kind of confirm my bias and build a strong case for the trade without immediately rushing in. And essentially, I had everything ready to go on MT4. The trade was ready to be placed on MT4, and then I had a look to confirm uh, the trade, right? And by the time I decided, yes, 100%, this is a trade I want to be in, um, it had already tapped into my entry. And unfortunately, I placed the trade after that, and it never provided another opportunity, and it just ran straight to take profit for about a 1 to 3.8 R. And I didn't react emotionally at all. It is what it is. I like to think that there's always going to be great opportunities in the future, and so not to feel FOMO about just one particular trade. But I will admit that it still sucks, right? Missing such a good trade, and due to just taking a little bit extra time to decide whether I definitely wanted to be in this trade or not. So unfortunately, taking that time to decide, and I don't know if I'm trying to decide. Was I hesitating? Uh, am I trying to make up an excuse for hesitating? I don't think so. It was definitely a bit of hesitation, but I wanted to make sure I was making the right decision, right? And another thing is that I am less familiar with taking shorts because for so long I've been just taking long trades. Um, like the majority of my trades are just longs, and so I'm so familiar and comfortable with taking those. And when the short presented itself, I needed that extra confirmation. So the lessons I've learned from that are essentially I need to refamiliarize myself with the shorts. So that could be constantly, reviewing previous trades, looking at previous trades, and making sure that I build that confidence so I can execute flawlessly when the time is right. Um, I've taken many, many short trades, but just not any as of recently, and so my confidence in taking one or trusting my setup kind of dropped a little bit. And so that's why I looked for that extra confirmation. I ended up missing the trade. So for that, I'm going to be reviewing, a lot of my previous short trades and building that confidence up again in them, so I can not hesitate and I can take them quickly, right? Because you want to limit your decision making and execute flawlessly. That's how you kind of become the best trader possible. If you start executing, you hesitate or your emotions are getting involved, then that's when shit goes wrong, right? So I'm going to be obviously reviewing some short trades and getting used to those again. Um, Another thing that I'm planning on doing is turning up to the charts maybe 5-10 minutes earlier before the session opens so I can get my analysis in quicker, right? I always have a general bias for the week, but I always analyze everything before each session as well. So if I can get in to the charts 5-10 minutes beforehand, and then I can kind of get an idea on what I think is going to happen, and build a case for why I think each pair is going to go in each direction, right? And then when it comes to the actual open, if I see a trade immediately, then I already confident enough to take it. So that means I'm just going to give myself some breathing time to actually kind of analyze the charts just before the session, rather than as the session opens. Because sometimes I get a trade immediately as the session opens within the first 5 minutes, and so I would like to have time to actually build the case and be ready and confident to take trades when the session starts. Also on Wednesday, there was another Euro CAD trade. So Euro was obviously going short today, that day. And, I placed the trade once again. And unfortunately, there were two fair value gaps. Price tapped into the first one, and that would have been a 1 to 2.2 risk to reward, which is completely sufficient for me. But I had placed it on the one just above, and that would have been about a 1 to 4 risk to reward. And I can't remember when I look back whether I was being greedy, but I think I've just placed it on that fair value gap, set my alerts, and then fucked off. So I didn't even check back to see that another fair value gap had been created, which I might likely have taken, right? I cannot say for certain, but there's a likelihood I would have taken that one instead, because it seemed like the more obvious one, the more likely one to be tapped into, and the trade to play out. So this one I was a lot more confident in because we had already seen price move lower on Euro USD, and this was Euro CAD, and so I was very confident that this one was going to go lower. So this one, I didn't hesitate. I placed immediately, but unfortunately, we just never got entered, and that ran for a 1 to 2.2. Tuesday and Thursday there were no trades, and then Friday we had another loser. And I will admit that my bias was wrong on the higher time frames, but my trade was a very, very high probability. I was very confident in it looking at it, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be a great trade. We had a market structure shift and a fair value gap, but the market structure shift was not the clearest, but the context was like, I was so confident in the trade in terms of the context, right, that I basically was like, right, even if the entry is not perfect, I'm still confident enough to take this trade and get involved. And what happened was I placed that trade. Price came into my entry, and I was very confident we were just going to see price shoot higher, right? Take out the equal highs, but we actually ran lower. We tapped my stop loss, literally wicked it, and then ran straight to take profit. So we lost that trade as well. And I'm not bothered about that one at all. That one just sucked. I was more happy that price ran in the direction that I was expecting it to go, than even though I lost the trade. But then price ran that high, and I was expecting it to go much higher, right? And it just basically ran to where my take profit was, and then kind of dumped big time on the high time frame. So that one was just a bit of an annoying trade, right? Nothing was very clean about that one. I got wicked out, and it ran to take profit, and then it also didn't go in line with my high time frame either. So that one was just a bit of a sucky trade as well. I don't know why I call them sucky trades. They just suck. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just remained very calm. Like, I didn't let this stuff get to me, because that's where traders fail, right? When they let stuff like this get to them. I just tried to remain very level headed, just continue to analyze the market, and there were no other trades for me. Um, And so at that stage, obviously just close the charts and get on with the weekend. It does suck. I really, it does suck the way that things play out. And I feel like they play out a lot like this for me, where there'll be a couple of good trades that I don't take. Um, last week we had a bank holiday, but there was a great trade and I didn't take it because it was bank holiday, but that was a nice winner. And I took maybe 30 seconds too long to decide to get into the trade. And by the time I clicked buy sell, it had already tapped in and ran. Um, Another one where spread just didn't get me into the trade. And it always happens on winners, right? And the losers are always like, I'm getting wicked out. Obviously, there's just some normal losers, but it's annoying because, had things all gone my way, I already would have passed the challenge. But you can't really dwell on that too much. You kind of just have to take these mini setbacks and just learn from them and try and improve and see what you can do better and refine your edge. That's what it's all about, right? You can't just dwell on all these shitty little things that happen. So we're up about 3% on the account still, which is still strong, right? I look at that and think, yeah, you know what? We're still in a strong position here. So there's no need to revenge trade. There's no need to get annoyed. We'll go into the next week just nice and refreshed. And that's how I look at it. You can't force anything in trading. You can't force it. You have to remain level-headed, remain calm, do your best, do the best you can to learn from your setbacks, and that's basically what it's all about, right? Even the best traders out there still experience things like this, right? And it's all about how you manage them, how you learn from them, how you improve. One more thing that sucked this weekend was I've been backtesting for a little while, maybe I've been backtesting about a month and a half worth of data, and I was up 6%, which is not great, right? Because sometimes I will be backtesting and I'll be backtesting when I'm not in a good state of mind. And I'm like, you still have to be in a good state of mind when you're backtesting. You can't just backtest, you can't like grind out backtesting because you have to make the, like, even when I'm backtesting, it gets to the point where I'm like, I still want to make profit. And sometimes that's my priority and I just forget to follow the process. Right. Um, so I should be higher up on that account, obviously, but it's all about learning. And what happened was, I think late Friday night, I had to backtest for the day. It was on my to-do list, and it was really late at night, and I backtest for about half an hour, but I was tired, I was not concentrating, and I just made some bad decisions, and I lost two trades on the backtesting, which is backtesting, right? It shouldn't bother you, but it bothers me more that I overlooked my state of mind, and I kind of just forced trades on backtesting and ruined the data that I'd already gathered. I was up 8% for the month. The previous month was just a bit sloppy. It was like down 2%, but I only backtested maybe 2 weeks of that month. So it really annoyed me that I skewed my data that I've been collecting, which is something that I don't think people talk about. They say backtest, but you got to backtest like you would real trading, and doing it late at night is not the one for me. So that bothered me about this week. It's got nothing to do with the trading week, but it bothered me that I ruined that data because I've been really diligent in collecting strong data for this strategy. Just because you want to refine and sharpen your skills, and sharpen how you trade it, right? And it just pissed me off how I literally, there's no one else to blame. You do it to yourself. How I ruined the data by just not being diligent and trading, backtesting. Although I thought it was a good idea, I was like, I'm going to grind out backtest. I'm going to do it. Everything went out the window. It was late at night. I was like listening to a podcast, and I just kind of everything went out the window, and all the bad habits came back. I was like, "Oh, this looks good. I'm going to take it." It wasn't even following my rules, and it just ruined the strategy. It ruined all the data that I've gathered. So that really pissed me off. But obviously, you learn, you reset, and you take all these little failures, right? And you just learn from them. You never allow yourself to be completely defeated because that's when people fail. Um, so I think that whether you believe in God or not, I'm not sure if I believe in God, but I think that he tests you, right? He tests you to your limits of how much you can handle and how much you really want something. Because there's been so many times where there's been uh, little failures, and you've just got to never take it as the final defeat, because that's when you fail, right? Does that make sense? You only become a failure when you accept defeat, and eventually, failure gives up, right? The only thing that can beat failure is persistence, right? Eventually, if you just keep persisting, failure will give up, and you will eventually succeed. So you got to just kind of keep that mindset. But yeah, this wasn't a massively joyful video because obviously I'm down last week and I had a bit of a shitty back testing session, which pissed me off. But I'm just trying to be real with you guys and give you lessons that I think are important, and my genuine experience as a trader. I did really want to end the week up last week. That would have been great because I would have been on a roll, right? I would have been on a roll, and we would have nearly passed the account. But we're up 3%, so that's a win in itself. Next week we'll go into next week. We'll be diligent. We'll just take it as it comes and stick to the process. So obviously, if you found that video useful or you want to join me on my trading journey because you are a trader as well, hit that subscribe button. We only want real ones around here. It's not a get rich quick scheme. This is the real grind, guys. We're trying to build a career out of this, and we're trying to become, successful, consistently profitable for the long run, and not just some get rich quick scheme. Also, guys, if you want to get like notifications from me, join my Telegram. I just put in things there that I think are useful, quotes, etc., and I'll just share my thoughts in there with you guys. So, if you want things like little updates throughout the week, obviously just follow me there. It's in my bio, and hopefully you guys have a good trading week. Hopefully I have a good trading week, and next week the video is a much more enthusiastic. And yeah, guys, I appreciate you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.